So now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go over to the tournament fights of the evenings. Those were our demonstrations. Man.
All right, so a brief overview of the rules. Now, the rules here are pretty easy. Basically, the fencer who scored the most points at the end of the bout is the winner. We're going to be using weighted scoring. Essentially, the head and the torso are going to be favored targets. With most of the weapons, it's going to be 2 points for a cut or thrust to the head, and it's going to be 2 points for a thrust to the body. All other targets will be 1. In rapier, it's going to be 3 points for a thrust to the head or torso, and all other targets will be 1. Wrestling has specialized rules, which we will cover later.
So our first fight of the evening will be for third place in Sword and Buckler, and it will be between Kirill Danilov and Evgeny Volodkov for third place.
Okay, this is a very interesting, one of the very interesting stories we have for this year is, you know, the Russians arrived at Swordfish 2 years ago in small numbers. They came in greater force last year and did some good fencing, but this year they've arrived in full force. And they have really done an amazing job and are going to be taking home a lot of medals.
And this is a strange matchup for both fighters because they've trained so very intimately over so many years. So what you get is something called applied tactics, which is when you know each other's moves and you train every day, it's hard to compete against each other.
Our first bout of the evening will be for third place Sword and Buckler. We have 2 Russians fighting tonight. Kirill Danilov from the White Company and Evgeny Volodkov.
So this is very interesting. Kirill Danilov is the lead instructor of the White Company.
Kirill will be in blue. Evgeny will be in red.
So Kirill Danilov is the head instructor of the White Company, which is in Ivanovo City in Russia. And Yevgeny Volodkov is one of his students. So here we see master and pupil.
Danilov in blue, Volodkov in red.
And this is just one of many medal fights you will see between the Russian fencers this evening. So, circling one another, a little bit of probing. These are fencers who know each other well. Oh, step outside the ring. That results in...
It was a strike to the side of the buckler, and the judge thought he saw a point.
One point for blue. I believe it was a cut to the arm. Cut to the arm. And 1 point for blue.
Nice parry. Strike by Volodkov, parried by Danilov, then counter-striked again by Volodkov.
One of the things you'll see is this
Strike,
sort of
left.
this sort of leaping style that some of these Russian fencers use. It can be a little surprising at times.
Go low, high.
It's interesting that they are primarily using their swords for defense rather than the buckler.
Thrust, strike. Danilov being a gentleman there, acknowledging a hit that the judges didn't acknowledge, and giving it to his opponent and training partner, Mr. Volodkov. Nobody really going after it here, but
Oh,
fighting
nice
with respect
thrust
for each other.
by Danilov. That should be a 2-point. Yeah, 2 points for blue. That was a thrust underneath his opponent's buckler by Danilov. Cut and parry. Series of cuts, parried by Danilov with ease. Nice parry of a thrust by Danilov with his buckler. Feinted the leg. Attempted Unterhau from the left and a thrust, all of which easily parried by Danilov. Looks like a cut to the wrist by Volodkov. Is it 2 points? I guess that was seen as a cut to the head.
Yeah.
I guess it went over the arm to the head. So we have a...
End of first round. Fight goes 2 rounds. Fight with the highest score. At the end of both rounds wins. Now, usually these two fencers coach each other, so they have no coaches, but you'll see that later on this evening. Fencers taking a breather, recalculating their tactics. So both fencers here are really respectful of each other and
Right,
not
this
really
is an old club. I
Yeah.
mean, this is Kirill Danilov told me that they started fencing sometime around 2000. So quite some amount of time fencing with historical weapons, even though they have not been in touch with the larger HEMA community until just recently. Oh, a loss of sword by Volodkov. Nice cut by
Feint cut.
Volodkov. Cut to the arm. 1 point red, we're at 6-5 now. Thrust, cut, 2 parries. No score from that exchange. It was a cut, parried with a buckler, and then a follow-up thrust by Volodkov, which landed on the torso, it looks like, and resulting in 2 points. 6-7 score. Volodkov now in the lead. Nice cut by Volodkov. Looks like it was parried by the buckler of Danilov. Nothing done.
Look from Volodkov, a feint to the one side and then spins round and strikes on the other side of his opponent.
Resulting in 2 points. 6-8. Thrust, parry on the inside line by Danilov. These two have very, very nice defensive skills. Look like a light cut maybe to the arm by Volodkov, resulting in 1 point. Cut and parry on both sides. Looked like a cut underneath to the torso by Danilov. Judges unsure of what they saw. Oh, beautiful
very nice,
thrust.
very nice. Thrust by
by Volodkov. Nice thrust. It looked like it was to the
throat.
mask. Yes, resulting in additional 2 points for Volodkov. We are at 6-11 now, commanding lead. Attempted thrust by Danilov, but parried with the buckler. Feint low, cut high, parry riposte. Another thrust, parried with the buckler.
Very nice. Looked like a straight thrust to the mask or chest there by Danilov.
2 points. We're at 8-11 now.
So,
and that is our match.
cap was reached. We have a winner.
Evgeny
Volodkov from the White Company, Russia.
Takes bronze in sword and buckler.
And these two fencers, they pretty much travel everywhere together, and they're a team. They coach each other, they train, they instruct together.
So this is a win-win either way for the Russians.
Indeed.
And they put on a nice display of fencing. Some very nice attacks and some very nice parries by both of these fine fencers.
The drums roll for our sword and buckler first place, which will be fought between Tom Alexander Skotner of the Fria Duelists Norway, who will be fighting in blue, versus Riccardo Rudolioso from Sala d'Arme Achille Marozzo of Italy. Did I pronounce that correctly, Matt?
Achille Marozzo.
Achille Marozzo.
So this is actually a very interesting matchup. Tom Skotner of Norway, the Freie Duelister, actually that's the group that produced Christine Konsmo. They focus on 133, so it's a German medieval style of sword and buckler, which keeps the buckler close to the sword hand to protect it. Riccardo Rudiloso.
Fighting for gold in sword and buckler. In the blue corner, we have from Freie Duelister Norway, Tom Alexander Skotner.
Alexander Skotner, ladies and gentlemen.
In the red corner, we have from Sala d'Arme Achille Marozzo in Italy, Riccardo Rudiloso.
And this has been
Sala d'Arme Achille Marozzo. Achille Marozzo was really one of the major masters of the Bolognese school, and so not surprisingly, Riccardo Rudiloso will be fighting in a style of Bolognese sword and buckler. So really you're seeing German medieval sword and buckler fencing being opposed to Renaissance Bolognese sword and buckler fencing from Italy. This should be a really interesting matchup. The thing that's really nice about this and really interesting is that we have an Italian in the finals working for a medal. The Italians have arrived this year as well.
Here we go. Skotner trying to provoke Mr. Rudiloso by tapping the blade. Rudiloso's ring. What they're doing is they're trying to get the opponent to react when you tap the blade like that. See what their initial reaction is. A lot of the movement you see in the beginning of a bout is strike to the leg by Rudiloso. Very nice. Right. Buckler high above the head to parry any incoming after blow. Clean hit.
Yep.
And what they do here in the beginning of the bouts or the exchanges is that you want to find your opponent's initial reaction, and that's what you do when you tap the sword like that or test each other out. You start to look for patterns in their fencing. Judges couldn't agree on that exchange. No score. Rudiloso in red, Skotner in blue. Looked like a strike to the head by Rudiloso. Some 2 points, so it's 3 points to 0. Here in the first round at Swordfish.
Early advantage, Rudiloso.
Skotner moving a lot between the guards.
Right, taking a different approach, more relying on the cut. Rudiloso relying more on the thrust. Rudiloso taking a low guard with his point in line. Skutner usually starting more with a cut. Looked like a thrust underneath that was parried and a cut by Skutner, I believe, to the head. 2 points, so it's 2-3 now. Rudiloso settling into this low ward with his buckler arm outstretched and his sword in a low position with the point in line. Skutner taking a more variable approach, usually from the right shoulder.
Very nice. Thrust by Rudiloso, parried by Skutner, counters with strike to the head. But it looks like that thrust went through, so it's a double hit essentially. Parry with the buckler, but sometimes the sword slips over the buckler and hits the target. Is that a standard medieval size of the buckler? Is that a...
That's fairly typical. It looked like a
nice
thrust underneath. I'm not sure if that landed, but afterwards followed up by a cut to the arm. Right. So that was a cut to the arm by Rudiloso. 5-2. It looked like a thrust from Blue with a parry and a thrust in return that landed.
End of the first round, ladies and gentlemen.
Rudiloso.
And this is where Mr. Skutner has to start thinking. He needs to change his tactics. Watching the fight, it feels quite even, but you look at the scoreboard, Rudiloso has a clear lead, 3 minutes for Skutner to catch up. Certainly not impossible, but he's got his work cut out for him.
Right.
This has been a big year for the Italians, because the Italians have primarily been known in the international scene for their superior rapier fencing. We haven't seen any great longsword fencers come out in the international events.
Not
in
until
great
now.
Numbers. Not until now.
We have a sword and buckler fencer here fighting for gold, and then later you will see we have another Italian fighting for gold in the open longsword. So it's this standard rule that if you're winning the bout and if what you're doing is working, keep doing what works. And if you're losing, it's time to change your game. So I think what you should expect to see here is Rudiloso doing more of the same, keeping his buckler extended, keeping his sword low, and relying mainly on these upward thrusts. But our friend in blue, Skutner, needs to do something different.
Let's see if he comes out more aggressive this round.
Cut to the leg by Rudiloso. 1 point. 2-8 now in favor of Rudiloso from Saladarme Achille Marozzo of Italy.
Exchange. Judges couldn't agree, no score.
Yeah, it looked to me like it was a cut that was parried by the buckler. So here, Rudiloso with his point in line again. You can expect an upward thrust, I believe. Yep.
Very nice.
Although a rain of cuts by Skutner, but apparently that thrust cut through. Commanding lead, 10-2. Thrusts miss.
Scuffle.
Hard to see what happened there. Looked like Skutner came in with a cut that was parried and a thrust by Rudiloso missed, and they ended up core. That looked like a cut parried by Skutner and a thrust landing. Looked like the thrust, I guess the cut landed as well. That was
it
two
slid
for
off the
each.
buckler and hit
Yeah.
Rudiloso on the head. So it was a double hit, essentially. We see Rudiloso going for the thrusts more, and
The
Skutner,
judges
he's
unable to agree.
going more for cuts for the head.
See,
Just as I said.
Skutner is
Skutner
making the
strikes to
classic.
the head.
He's making the classic mistake of doing the same thing over and over again. He needs to change his tactics, but I think it's
Rudolf's got
it's
a
far too late
nice
for
thrust. I mean, he just sneaks that in there.
He does, and he knows he has an opponent who's helping him by doing the same thing. Good move. Skutner trying to do something different by delivering a thrust, but it missed, parried, and the follow-up thrust by Rudiloso. 2-14. Rudiloso dropping down, covering, and taking a blow at the leg, which lands. 2-15. Dominance well established by Rudiloso, who is now taking the opportunity to
Be more creative.
be a little more creative in taking a tail guard. But again, if what you're doing is working, you shouldn't change, and he was punished for that by a blow to the head. Looks like we're in a grappling situation.
Beautiful. Down.
Takedown.
He will earn a point if he can establish a
And
dominant
a reversal.
position. Very nice, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Skutner
Lovely.
lands on
Lovely.
top, thrust to the chest.
Lovely throw by Rudiloso and a reversal by Skutner. Pins and delivers a thrust while his opponent's on the ground. Too little, too late, but what a way to stop.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a
Final score of 6-15 in favor of Riccardo Rudiloso of Saladarme Achille Marozzo of Italy.
gold medalist, Rudiloso.
I think this is the first gold that Italy has taken since Francesco Loda.
Yes, it is. Francesco Loda, you'll be seeing him later coaching in the longsword. He fought in Rapier this year, didn't make it all the way.
And Francesco Loda is very happy with the Italians' performance today. I've seen him. He is all smiles.
We have this year as well technical awards. So apart from the three medal winners, we also will be giving one technical award for
me to make the announcement.
nicest fencing.
Yeah, it's essentially it's
It's not based on only on
it's not fully based on pure
Material,
techniques
sorry.
directly from the manuals, but also on overall technical virtuosity, good body mechanics, and good fencing skills.
Yes, that's exactly what I was about to say.
So momentarily,
This concludes the sword and buckler competition for Swordfish 2016. Now in bronze, third place, we have Evgeny Volokov.
Volodkov from the White Company, Russia.
the first of the medals for the Russians this evening. Yevgeny Volodkov of the White Company from Ivanovo City in Russia.
In second place, Tom Skotner.
The silver medal goes to the Freie Duelister from Norway. And Tom Skutner. He lost, but that
And in
last
first
exchange
place,
was something to
we have
behold.
Riccardo Rudiloso.
Waving the flag.
Waving
of
the
Italy.
Italian flag with pride and wrapping himself in it is Riccardo Rudiloso of Saladarme
And our
Achille
sponsor, Black
Marozzo.
Armory,
After
are
I must
giving him as
say
a
what
prize
was a
one of their
great
jackets.
performance. The thrusts of Rudiloso.
Yes, very nice display of sword and buckler fencing.
We also are giving out technical awards this Swordfish for particular displays of skill in the competition. And for sword and buckler, this year goes to Jack Gassman.
So Jack Gassman of Switzerland won the technical award for sword and buckler fencing. Despite having an injured foot, And hobbling around all weekend, he somehow managed to take part and do a fine job of displaying sword and buckler fencing, winning a technical award.
Ladies and gentlemen, sword and buckler. Our first fight of the evening will be between Håvard Lund Eidhem from FKFD Norway and Greg Tsaris, Medieval Swordplay Canada. That's for sword and buckler, third place.
All right, so Håvard is from the Frie Duelister, the Free Duelists from Oslo, Norway.
And we will start with the final for the bronze medal in sword and buckler.
His opponent, Greg Sagris, is from Medieval Swordplay Canada. So we have Norway versus Canada.
This is Håvard in blue and Greg Tsaris in red.
Håvard is a very tall, lanky, agile fencer. He looks a little ungainly when you first see him move, but you realize he's quite
agile. For the
agile.
bronze medal in the blue corner from Fekteklubben Frie Duelister in Norway, Håvard Lund Eidhem.
That's Håvard.
And in the red corner from Medieval Swordplay Canada, Greg Sagris.
And there's Greg Sagris. Now the interesting thing is both these guys have fenced in multiple categories. They both fenced in open longsword and in sword and buckler.
Yeah, and Håvard's an interesting cat because he's this thin guy, but he packs up punch.
He does, and he can move in a really agile manner. And he, like I said, he looks a little ungainly when you first see him, but he's in full control, and he's got a lot of reach, and he does have a significant amount of power. All right, so initial cut to the low line by Greg Sagris. And I'm not sure where that landed, but I thought it was a blow to the leg from the right. And they're wasting no time. Closing in, that was a thrust and a cut by Sagris. And it looks like the judges were undecided on that. High guard by Sagris. A little bit of blade action, covering a cut and a thrust. All right.
Out of bounds.
Right, but interesting to see how that'll be called. So it was a... Right.
So strike was landed before out of bounds.
Yeah, it was either a cut or a thrust that landed on the arm. So Greg is taking these this high guard, threatening the thrust, and then he's cutting a reverso, that is a high cut from the left, as a way of closing in and then making a thrust afterwards. So you see him doing the same thing over and over. And Håvard taking a low guard. Oh, that was a nice thrust in there from Håvard as he closed distance. And it looks like it landed on the torso for 2 points. Nice thrust on the entry by Håvard Einan. Oh, yeah.
Struck from above by Håvard.
Yeah, hanging guard. Håvard flipping around for a cut to the head that lands. And then it looks like he covered down on the afterblow with his buckler. 3-2, close fight so far. Yeah, a little bit of an unclear exchange. The judges could not agree. All right, Greg is settling into this this high guard. It's high versus low, with a point forward.
And pushing the pace, threatening with that thrust.
Yeah, definitely
putting
putting pressure.
Backward.
But you got to be careful with Håvard because he's got a long reach. And we saw once before he walked in on a thrust. Okay, cut to the buckler, a reverso that misses, and he drives him almost out of the ring. And it looks like there was a cut delivered by Håvard when he was backing up that may have landed on the arm. High guard versus low guard again. Cut at the leg that misses. Parry with the buckler. Thrust as he drives him out of the ring. I think that was a thrust that landed to the torso by Red for another 2 points. Or sorry, 3 points. Is it 3 points or 2? I think it looks like it's 2. Oh, that was thrust
by
underneath to the torso. But I think there was a high thrust landed immediately after by Tsagras. So that was an even exchange.
End of round. We'll be heading into round 2. And Horvath's, he's fine in this position. He's leading by 7-4, and he's letting Tsagras go for him and countering.
It's interesting. You saw an early lead by Tsagras, and he was coming in very aggressively, and Havard was doing a good job of just sort of taking him. Well, he got hit a couple of times, but then he started figuring out his game, and he's catching him as he comes in.
We'll see what Tsagras comes up with.
Yeah.
In the next round. He's the one who's going to have to make the adjustments.
Yeah, for
It
sure.
looks to me like he had a plan coming in, because when you see somebody straight off the bat start following a game plan, he's
Right.
probably looked at Horvath throughout the tournament and said, okay, this is the way I'm going to defeat Horvath. It hasn't worked so far. He's going to reassess with his coach, and we'll see what he comes up
Well,
with. And
it's-
this is where it hangs on if you've got a good coach or not. How do you break the patterns and find new ones?
Right. And he has Jack Gassman in his corner who's assisting him. Not from the same club. Jack Gassman, originally from Switzerland, lives in Ireland now, but I think he's stepping in to help the Canadian, who I think is here alone. So what's happening is, you saw him come in pretty aggressively. Then he decided he was going to move to this high guard. He got some benefit out of that, but then it started working against him. Havard figured it out. We'll see if he changes, if Greg Tsagras changes his game. All right, low guard now. All right, looks like I thought I saw a thrust that landed by Tsagras, but I think there was a cut to the arm on the way in. And that's what the judges see as well. Yep, likewise I thought I saw a cut to the hand by Havard. All right, you see a little cut to the hand. He extends, you see that coming in. Almost drives him out of bounds, but he keeps 1 foot in. To be out of bounds, you have to have both feet out. And Havard has come perilously close to that, but has not allowed himself to lose any points to that so far.
Horvath's got that reach, and when he's
Right.
moving back,
Yeah,
Greg's got to cover so much ground, and Horvath's, he can't reach Horvath when Horvath can reach him. So it's
true,
a big
it's true.
disadvantage.
And Havard, he can back up and hit you as he's backing up, preferentially going for the arm or dipping in that point underneath the buckler.
So Greg's kept the pretty much the same setup, rushing in Horvath,
Right.
applying pressure, but he's utilizing the low guard more than in the first round.
Yeah, for sure. And I think he's changing up his game, but the fact of the matter is with that range distance, I think he feels like he has to keep the pressure on.
Yeah.
But he's not doing a very good job, frankly, of covering those attacks by Havard as he retreats, mainly to the arm, sometimes the thrust.
Cut to the arm by Havard.
Another cut from hanging guard to the arm, also retreating. This is the pattern for this fight. Now, what's interesting here is to watch the style. This is something that maybe, if Tsagras could adopt maybe a little more of a 133 style where he keeps the buckler close to his hands, that could make a difference in terms of protecting himself. But you see, when he's attacking, he's retracting that buckler, and he's not using it to maximum advantage to protect himself. Watch this. See, he's coming in. You see, he's got that buckler back against his body, and it's not doing him any help. He's sacrificing it as he's bringing that rear foot forward. Watch this. You see it. That buckler retracts, and it's not protecting him. And he's getting tagged on the arm as he comes in. $11-5. It's going to be extremely difficult for Greg to make any headway here. Cut to the buckler. Looked like another cut
Strike
to the hand by
it looked like.
Havard. Yep, 1 point blue. This is our last exchange. Oh, beautiful thrust. Catching Tsagras in the throat as he walked in. But I think
didn't
there was
parry
also,
the-
but I
the
think there
thrust
was
by
also,
Zagreb.
I'm not sure if it was a cut or a thrust on the way in. He catches him there. Frankly, it looked to me like that
Cut
thrust
across
by
the throat.
Zagres missed,
Yeah.
but the judges saw it differently. Different angles, different perception.
Our winner, ladies and gentlemen, Håvard Lund Edheim. And I got to say, I was really impressed. See, he didn't make it all the way in the longsword, but he was very impressive today at longsword, and just this dynamic, strong fighter. He doesn't look it when you see him. He's got this power.
Gold in Southern Buckler will be in the blue corner from FFC Paladin in Russia, Mikhail Bakir.
So there is a significant height difference here that you see. Bakir
And
is
in the red corner
short.
from Stockholm,
Christopher Stanson is
Steedman,
pretty tall.
in Sweden, obviously. Christopher Stanson!
Stanson, ladies and gentlemen, who's fought 3 years in a row for third place, trying to get that first place.
So when you have someone like Stanson, who has been in tournament after tournament after tournament and medal and after medal after medal and been on the live stream many times as well, the level of stress for someone like him is actually pretty low at this point in time. I don't know about Bakir. He's an unknown quantity to me. I don't believe we've seen him here. We've certainly not seen him medal before.
You know, it's not the level of stress for a guy like Stanson, but they compete in so many categories, so they're pretty bashed up by the end of the tournament.
true.
But now he hasn't fought in as many tournaments, so you'll see a fresher Stanson.
Right.
I mean, he pretty much had a swollen foot and broken arm last year when he was fencing.
All right, so we had a thrust and a nice void and a cut and a nice void by Stanson. Very good control of distance. He's managed to avoid 2 or 3 separate blows and then land one of his own. I believe that was a cut to the arm as he right after he voided an attack by Bakir. Cut. That does nothing. It looked to me after an exchange of blows that landed on the buckler that we saw a thrust by Bakir. I thought I saw something land by Stanson. No, it was a cut to the head by Bakir. Thrust did not land, paired with a buckler. Looked like another, I'm not sure if that was a cut or a thrust that landed by Bakir. Let's see it on the instant replay. That was a low line cut by Stanson.
Oh, and a swing and a miss. Confusion in the ring. So one of the judges called point. Nobody else saw it. So when you see the judges wave a flag in the ground, it means they saw something happen. They saw a strike, but it was no quality. It wasn't of enough impact to score a point.
Stanson keeps going for the low line, but Bakir keeps voiding it. And then he ran onto a thrust, but it looked like he returned it himself. So those were an exchange of thrusts to the torso, which will take a lot out of you, taking a heavy thrust to the torso. It looks like that was finally a cut to the leg that landed by Stanson. He's got to be careful about that, though. He's certainly got a reach advantage, but going directly to a low-line attack is always a little perilous, especially against an experienced fencer. His reach is great, but it's not that great. Each one takes a blow. Each one either voids or parries with a buckler, a thrust, a cut, all parried.
Strike to the head by
Yeah,
Stanson.
I believe that was partially caught by the...
and
that
there
was
was
caught
a
by the
thrust.
buckler.
Yeah, there was a thrust. There was an early thrust by Bakir. One of the judges saw it as a hit to the head.
Thrust by Stanson to the face, followed by a cut to the leg. And that leg cut landed, giving him 1 point. So we are now at 3-4. Close match. Interesting. Mikhail Bakir of Russia doing a very creditable job against a much taller, very experienced Christopher Stanson. All right. Looked like there was a thrust that landed, and in the process of landing the thrust, he lost his sword. Be 2 points for Bakir.
And we go to half time with Bakir in the lead. Not by much though. One clean strike by Stanson, and they're in a tie.
It's true, but you know, Stanson is taking an interesting strategy. I mean, he's doing a lot of blows to the leg, and I really don't think it's doing him any favors. At first, he was taking a number of blows straight to the leg without any kind of a setup, which is very risky, and he paid for it with thrusts and cuts to the head that gave Bakir an early lead. Finally, he changed up his game a bit and started preceding those cuts to leg with some kind of a high line feint, which is good fencing. For example, one of them, he did a thrust to the face, and when that drew the parry up, he did a nice cut to the leg that scored. That's the kind of good fencing you want to see. Frankly, what he was doing before was a little bit surprising to me. Over-reliance on reach. All right, a little bit of a
Strike to the head by Bakir.
Yep, and followed by
low line cut by Stanson.
Right, and the cut landed, the high line cut by Bakir landed, the other one did not, by Stanson. Thrust, followed by a series of cuts by Bakir, followed by parry, and then a cut to the arm of the body by Stanson that scored. That was a... We're at 7-5 now in this final round. It looked like a cut to the midsection by Stanson. I did not see what Bakir landed. It looked like it might have been the head. Cut.
And that's the story of this fight, is Stanson going for the low lines and Bakir going for the head, which is setting him ahead. At 8-5.
Not a good strategy for Stanson.
Stanson needs to start thrusting or cutting high this late in the game.
Right. Keeps going for that leg. Can't leave that leg alone. Not using his buckler to advantage either, keeping it retracted. Just lost his weapon. Right. It looked like a cut to the head by Stanson, followed by a cut to the arm, I believe it was, by Bakir.
And this is what Stanson needs to do now with almost only a minute left.
Trading blows, though, is not what Stanson needs to be doing at this point, because it is not going to carry him through to victory.
Cut
and
to the head
especially going to the low line.
Is what he needs to do, score-wise.
Oh, that looked like a good... I thought I saw a thrust to the face there by Stanson. It looks like the judges saw that too. I think it was followed by a cut to the low line. That was what he needed.
We are at a draw with 30 seconds left in the fight.
So we'll see if Stanson
we have a fight.
needs to but then
Thrust
he did the same
strike
thing.
to the head.
And that is good. That cost him the fight. He reverted to going for the low line, and he took a... Well, I thought...
He's got... So he's got one last exchange to set this right, to bring it to sudden death, or with a thrust to the body or a hit to the head.
He needs a head blow.
He'll win this.
He needs a cut to the head or a thrust to the head or torso. One point each. And that is it. Very
Sets
close
Bakir
fight.
ahead. We have a winner, ladies and gentlemen. Mikhail Bakir from FFC Paladin, Russia.
A well-earned victory.
Well-earned victory against the formidable Christopher Stanson. That's a big win for Bakir.
It is, but I have to say it was inexplicable to me why Stanson kept going for the low line when it kept not paying off.